Welcome to Meanwhile in Turkey. I used to do the show during the pandemic, and I was doing it from the comfort of my own home. And now I've decided to do it once a week from the comfort of my office. My name is Umur Birand. I was born and raised in Belgium, moved to Turkey in 2001. Married a foreign lady, and on a production company. I did about 20 years worth. I mean, I've been in the industry for 20 years, and now I am basically doing everything on YouTube. I have a show in Turkish, same channel, and hopefully you can subscribe to that channel, because now I want to do Meanwhile in Turkey every week. Why do I want to do it? Is because I don't see much news about Turkey in English. I mean, there are a couple of great news channels, such as, TRT News, TRT World. There's also A News in English, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, if you don't know, they're heavily government funded. So they're basically, they'll toe the line. They'll toe the government line, and they will basically tell everything you want. The government wants you to know or not know. So these are the channels that we have that are in English. But Meanwhile in Turkey was my baby, and I thought I started to do it as a joke first, because I love the word Meanwhile in Turkey. I mean, when the whole world is talking about completely different things, we're talking about really, really, really mundane things that we talk about in Turkey. I gotta be honest with you, they're usually, repetitive. So today is Wednesday, November the 24th, and I wanted to come to you live and explain to you what's happening in Turkey. As you might be aware, or I've been seeing on different Facebook groups where foreigners are involved, or a lot of foreigners have been asking me, what is happening with the Turkish liras? Well, what is happening is it's a culmination of a 20-year fight between our president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and of course, interest rates. Interest rates have been a big problem in Turkey. When in 2002, the AKP, the ruling party, took over majority of the rule and took over the prime minister's office, the interest rates were close to 50–60%. I mean, it came not because of them, but that's what they handled. That's what they received. So now that they have 50–60%, they were able to bring them down as low as 1.5% yearly. So when I mean by interest rates, it basically means that the money, the Turkish lira that you make, when you put it on the bank, you get, X amount of Turkish liras, or when you borrow money, that's the interest rate you have to pay. Now, of course, lately, over the last maybe 3 years, since our president of Turkey changed the constitution and created this new system, the presidential system, what we call it in Turkey, a lot of things have changed, because it's a one-man rule. Now, yes, a lot of pundits are going to turn around and say, no, it's not a one-man rule. There's Congress, but who are we kidding? So with this one-man rule, the fight against every single problem that happens in this country, suddenly it automatically reflects the economy, and the pandemic did not help. Unfortunately, it did not help. So with the pandemic coming, a global crisis, and this constant need to lower the interest rates, changing the rules of modern law, of modern monetary and financial law, we're stuck now with a system where the president believes that by lowering the interest rates, the inflation is going to decrease. However, that's not the case. By lowering interest rates, the dollar keeps on going higher. What the president's trying to do is, by lowering the interest rates, right? He's telling the world and European companies, hey, listen, invest in my country. My country is the best. Look, you can put your money, you can invest. Great things will happen to you. Correct? But that's not the case. People, instead of investing in Turkey, are shying away from Turkey because of this one-man rule, and also because of the non-belief that they have on this dollar. on the Turkish lira, excuse me. Even Turks now are putting their money on the US dollar because of the fluctuation in the markets. So you're asking me what's going to happen. It's very simple. This is going to continue because the president, last week, one of the aides to the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, I swear to you, turned around and said something like, we're trying something different. Now, the something different that he's trying to say, is an economical, basically, idea by lowering interest rates, the inflation is going to lower itself. Now, we're the only country that ever tried this. We tried this in 2018 when our president's son-in-law was the Minister of Financial Affairs, but it didn't work then. We also tried this in 1994, and it still didn't work. We keep on trying this new system, this fight against interest rates. Whether call it, it could be the president just being really stubborn about it. It could be. It could be the president just turning around and thinking that, hey, this is the way I want it to be done. But whatever the case is, the increase of the dollar, the value of the dollar against the Turkish lira is making Turkey a bit more competitive in the global arena, especially vis-a-vis China and India, which is not a very good thing at the end of the day, but it's making the population incredibly poor. It's literally draining the resources. So the minimum wage, the moment you have this minimum wage on you, the minimum wage, let's say, used to be, according to the Turkish lira, $280. Now it's coming down to $220, $210. We're basically working, for $1 a day now in Turkey. That's the country right now that we're in. So to my foreign friends who are asking me what's going to happen is the Turkish lira, what should I do with money? I'm not a financial analyst, but I can tell you, if the president of Turkey has decided to continue this path, he's going to continue this path. I don't think any other way. Now, he's saying the only way that any kind of markets can actually stabilize is having early elections. Now, the elections that we have are planned for 2023. I don't think that he's going to have elections before that. I mean, he keeps on saying it every other week. We're not going to have elections until 2023. That's the presidential elections. We're not going to have presidential until 2020. I get it. We're not going to have them. So therefore, he's going to stick to his guns. And I think he's doing an all-in move. And he's hoping that this system of lowering interest rates so that the inflation lowers and getting international companies to invest in our country works. Now, economists, Turkish economists, believe that this is never going to work. Right? They believe that it's not going to work, that this system has never worked. In any system, it's never worked. The only way that they believe is to increase the interest rates. That's what they believe. Now, there's also another angle to the presidency, to interest rates, and the allergic reaction he has against interest rates. And it's more of a Islamic aspect of it, a Muslim aspect of it. Now, he believes that interest rates are illegal according to the Quran. That's right. He truly believes that. Now, granted, there's a lot of countries ruled by the Sharia law who do have interest rates. Iran, Indonesia, and even Middle Eastern countries. They all have interest rates. And I don't understand why we're the only ones that are fighting this fight. But it's the president. He basically can do whatever he wants to do. That's the problem. So in a country where the president is allowed to do anything he wants, how can you expect foreign investors to come into the country? Basically, foreign investors, when they come to Turkey, they look at a couple of things. They look at the rule of law. They look at checks and balances of the presidency. And they look at, most importantly, how much money they're going to make. So if you have an inflation rate of, let's say, 20%, which is not, it's around 17, 18, I think. But let's make it down of 20%, which means that your money devaluates by 20% every year. But if you put that money, your $1 million, your million Turkish liras, into that interest rate, you're only going to get 60%. What do? You don't put it in the bank. you take it to the dollar. You're better off to put it in the dollar and make your money there. So that's what's been happening in Turkey since yesterday. Now, I don't know what the dollar is currently, but it looks like it's stabilizing at 2.5, 2.6. Now, I hope it stabilizes. But also, don't forget, we're also having in December, we're going to have another, what we call a central bank meeting where they're going to decide if they're going to increase the rates, the interest rates, or lower them. Now, I'm betting that they're going to lower the interest rates again by another 100 points. And once again, the dollar is going to go just shoot up very quickly. Now, I'm seeing a lot of like messages that I got yesterday from a couple of my foreign friends. Why do you think this happened now? Well, it's simple. Last week, at the beginning, just a couple of days ago, the president just turned around, out of the blue, by the way, without saying anything, and just came out and said, once again, the reason that there is he's just saying that the reason that high interest rates is reason for inflation. That's what he said. And suddenly everything kind of went up in flames again. So it's a very fragile moment right now in the Turkish economy. Unfortunately, for investors, once again, what they look at the rule of law. They look at the independency of the central bank, which none of them exist, including rule of law. A court case in this country averages about 2.5 to 3 years, and the outcome, even though you may be 80, 90, 100% right, the outcome is still a coin flip, which is unfortunate. Now, I'm not saying we're an unlawful country. There are laws. We are governed by laws, of course. But the image that we have currently and the current situation around Turkey is that feeling. It's also a feeling at the end of the day. So this is our only concern lately. It's basically all our Turks are talking about is what happened to the dollar, what's going to happen to the dollar, how far is the Turkish lira going to drop, and how much more is the dollar going to increase against the Turkish dollar. I don't know the answers, to be honest with you. I wish I did. But what I can see is we are going to continue this fight, because the president turned around also yesterday and said, this is a fight of independence, of economical independence. Now, we're fighting this economical independence, this war of independence, economical independence, this war of economical independence. We're fighting this war, but we've also been fighting it for, maybe 20 years. Now, when the interest rate was 16%, which was back in 2008, 2007, we never used the words, war of economical independence. We used it in 2018 when the dollar spiked up again. But these spikes, they don't come out of the blue. There are reasons for that. And it usually becomes of the way the markets are so scared and so pessimistic about what's going to happen in Turkey and what the president might do or not do, or what the Ministry of Finance might do or not do. Now, this battle is being fought, apparently, and the ones that are paying for it are the ones that are actually paying taxes, that are actually creating the ones that actually are paying their taxes, the one actually got getting minimum wage and things like that. It's the top echelon of this country. I mean, the political hierarchy of this country is not actually really aware of what's happening on the streets. We're getting a lot of reports of AKP congressmen who are actually turning around and saying, well, if you can't buy 2 kilos of tomatoes, you should buy 2 tomatoes only, which kind of separates, the political AKP, the AKP from the public. It's very interesting the way that things are kind of being played out right now. And hopefully it's going to, I'm sure these congressmen are going to realize what they're saying, and they're going to hopefully change the they're going to change the way they dialogue with the public. But I'm not really sure. Now, the next steps that everybody's kind of waiting to happen is a kind of a calming effect from the presidency, because the president of Turkey just came out and said these things, and then he turned around yesterday and said, well, this is just, this is a war against, it's a war of independence, economical independence. And on Twitter, I don't know if you've seen it, there's a lot of everything's been divided into two. There's a Twitter group that believes that, the government should resign. And there's another group that says, I'm with my government, that shouldn't resign. So we're divided once again in two. And that's causing a lot of turmoil, because even yesterday, the head of the CHP, which is the head of the CHP, when you look at the AKP, is basically, it's like being, it's the opposition. It's the head of the opposition. It just came out and said, we need early elections. We want early elections. Please allow us to give early elections, which is, they believe that this would increase the system. But the president of Turkey and its ally, the head of the MHP, which is a far-right nationalistic political party, said, no, there are no early elections. We're not going to have early elections whatsoever. We're just going to, elections are going to be in 2023. Now, I don't know if this will continue till 2023. It's going to be very, very difficult to continue this system of fighting every day, fighting the dollar, fighting the economy, fighting inflation, fighting interest rates. It's going to be a very difficult battle just to keep the government going. But you never know. I've seen so many times in this country over the last 20, 30, 40 years, people saying there's not going to be elections this year, and then we end up having 2 snap elections. So, these are politicians. I'm not saying they lie, but politicians' minds change according to what is happening currently. So they might change, and they might change their ideas. Anyway, so what I want to do now, what I want to do Meanwhile in Turkey, is create this nice little format of basically you and me, you, my foreign friends, you, friends of Turkey who are interested to know what's happening. We are about 3 reporters maybe in Turkey that actually do the news in English, can give out information about what is happening, what the current events are. So I just wanted to let you know that from now on, hopefully every week, this is just the first show, every week on Wednesday, but if I see a lot of interest, I might do it a little bit more. I'm going to try and give you a roundup of the things that are happening in Turkey. Anyway, I'm Umur Birand and hope to see you next week.